Great. I'm here with Susanne Nobles of ReadWorks, and today we're talking about accessibility in K-12 education. So it's great to have you here, Suzanne. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Let's dive right in. Tell us a little bit about ReadWorks, the work that your org does.
Okay, great. So ReadWorks, we've been around for over 20 years, and our mission has always been to support teachers in building their students' background knowledge and vocabulary on behalf of reading comprehension. So we are intentionally supplemental, and we provide 100% free reading resources for teachers to bring more reading into the classroom to support all learners. So the teacher can decide the grade level of the reading, the content of the reading, so that it connects best to what they're teaching, whether it's ELA, science, history.
So it's in the hands of the educators. It's a tool to help them reach their students. What inspired you to get into this work?
I actually was a teacher for over 20 years, and I was doing what I affectionately call my late in life PhD. When I was doing that part-time, teaching full-time, and we moved. So I had to leave the school where I was teaching. And so then I shifted into ed tech nonprofit work with the goal of connecting research to practice more broadly, because that's what I had done my PhD work in for myself as a teacher.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that, the practice. Effective reading comprehension, we know it's critical for student success. So what are some strategies or tools that ReadWorks offers to help educators differentiate instruction? Because we know that there's a lot of learner variability in the classroom. So what are some ways that ReadWorks helps educators?
Yeah, so our mission to be supplemental is the heart of how we feel we can support all educators, support all students, because whatever an educator is given in the classroom, our resources can connect to what they're teaching. And so it might be students who have not had access to rich content. That can be socioeconomic differences. And so more content can come in. And so that's one way to differentiate. All of our reading passages are high quality, content rich. The other way that educators use us to differentiate is all of our passages, they never have a grade level assigned to them from the student side. And so a teacher can bring in, if they're studying volcanoes, they can bring in a passage about volcanoes that's content rich, well written at whatever level to bring the student into the content and scaffold to grade level. And I say that there's a lot about AI out there. There's other ed tech that levels text, and we don't do that. We intentionally write rich texts to be the syntax, the vocabulary that a student should be reading at grade level, and then bring in other texts to build to see that grade level reading, whether that's able to read it yourself or not. We also have audio as well. So I hope that made some sense. We can
Yeah, the idea of like high interest reading, right? It's the idea of being able to give a student who is older, but maybe they're reading several grades behind, right? Being able so that you're not giving them something that sounds and feels like C-Spot Run, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yes. And we do know from the research, we have an internal research team. We're always studying what we do. And we know that our texts are very engaging for students. And often, what the research has shown, the power of knowledge is that it can unlock a reading text if you imagine not being familiar at all with a topic, the classic one for Americans is cricket, and we don't know those terms. And so for me, trying to read a passage about cricket, I'm not going to do very well. But if I build knowledge about cricket, I can actually show that I can read. And so it's not always that a student doesn't have the reading skills. It's that maybe that knowledge can help. So it's not always that, but that's, one way that the knowledge can support a student to get to that grade.
So that's a great point, is coming from different cultures, perspectives, backgrounds can seemingly impact a student's reading comprehension score.
Yeah.
If you're not taking all those things into consideration. So ReadWorks is providing accessible, high-quality reading resources like you discussed How is your team ensuring that students with learning differences have the support they need in developing these literacy skills?
Yeah, so we can be used, the teachers can print our resources or set up digital classrooms. And so I'll talk first about the print option because, as we said, we're through the teacher. And so teachers they can print at different font size, and also can print out our supporting vocabulary so that students have extra vocabulary support. And then, as I said, can print any level and the student doesn't see that grade level on there. Digitally is where our really rich, though, supports come in. And so in our digital classroom, every text has audio. And so a student can listen along. We have a guided reading strip, and so they can also follow along line by line as they're listening. The audio can go slower or faster, which the faster is actually really key because we often think of slower with readers gaining that confidence, but also audio can interrupt our comprehension if it's going too slow once we're starting to become more confident readers ourselves. So you can also speed up the audio as that bridge off. We have a distraction-free mode, so students with attention needs can clear off their screen and have just that the focus along with that guided reading strip. And then we have the different font sizes that students can control for themselves in their digital space. And so there's a lot of ways that students with their own self-advocacy can say, I need this to help me really engage with this piece of reading.
So it's guided, initiated, and set up by their educator, by their teacher. But within the platform or within the digital space, the students have the ability to, control and empower their reading. Oh, I love that.
Yes. And we've seen, again, from the research we've done, while all of those student tools exist, we saw very clearly that it was teachers talking to their students about it that made the students use them. And so we actually really loved that because then the teacher still is part of it in helping students understand that these tools are just to support learning. They're not because there's something wrong, but instead use them and then you'll be a better reader.
Yeah. One of the unique things about EALA, the Educating All Learners Alliance, is our network of networks, our partners from across all different sectors. How do you think about the role of partnerships and collaboration in terms of achieving your goals with your organization?
Partnerships are at the heart of what we do. We're a nonprofit, and so there comes with that, all the funding limitations that one can imagine.
Yes.
We're also a small team, and it's a great team that does a lot with the team size we have. And so we have partners that help us create content, subject matter partners, really powerful science partners in particular, National Fish Wildlife Foundation, American Museum of Natural History in New York. We're the experts on how to write for students at certain ages and reading levels, and they're the experts in the content. And then we have the partners to help us research to see what it is that's impacting students, and we bring that research right back into our products. And so we're always adapting the product to make it even better for the student. And so that research support, and then groups like EALA just helping share the message, helping us share what others are doing and what we're doing, so that teachers, there's a lot out there. It's so hard for teachers to push through it all, but to really go to a trusted source like EALA that's, here are partners you all promote that are doing quality things to help students' learning needs.
And especially around accessible ed tech tools. There's a lot out there.
There's a lot out there, and it's interesting. We'll get questions from teachers, seeking, does this really work? ReadWorks is a trusted name for education, but also they're trying to figure out the accessibility work, and it's important for us to have places to then send them. I mean, we have knowledge for reading, but we don't have the broad knowledge for everything. And it's a hard landscape to navigate for teachers.
And there's a lot going on in the world of education right now. What's one trend or a development that you would say really excites you, and how is ReadWorks adapting to that or leveraging it?
For us, we're really seeing the reading writing connection, which is exciting for, I mean, we're ReadWorks. Our heart is with reading. You know, we're really trying to improve reading with more reading. But there's this critical, which has always existed, this critical connection between reading and writing. Our most recent research study, though, showed that happening within, we have a product called Book of Knowledge where students write what they're learning. And we could see very clearly that the quality of what they wrote drove their knowledge growth in their reading. And so that was a really exciting finding for us to show A, that our products were working, and B, to then develop that product further to support the writing, because it's not something that is the first thing we do as ReadWorks. And that's happening out in the field. You know, the science of reading is a very multifaceted, reading is complicated. And so writing has always been a part of it and is now becoming more in part of the conversation as well around reading.
Yeah. So before we go, what's a piece of advice that you would give to a educator, maybe just starting out in this work?
But the advice that we would give is the quality of reading matters, and respecting your students, which you do as an educator, but understanding that what you put in front of them is a sign of that respect. And so you may or may not have things your school has been able to give you, but pausing, really looking at that reading, is it engaging? Is it content appropriate for their age? And that's really where we hope with our free resources, again, we're not selling anything, with our free resources that we give teachers a lot of options of respectful reading because it's engaging, content-rich, meaningful, to help teachers with that really critical piece of saying to students, you matter, reading matters, and you can come into some really rich, engaging reading that is exciting for you as a student.
It's great. It's great. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great.